So, hello everyone, Casey with Defined Fitness and special guest today. We are talking with Ryland and going over her fitness journey and some of the things she's learned along the way. So, Ryland, in 30 seconds or less, tell us a little bit about yourself.
Yeah, I am 21 years old. I'm finishing my last semester at the U. I'm majoring in economics, so lots of fun. I currently work at a property management company as a client success manager, and I just do our event coordinating. I do a little bit of sales and our onboarding and all that good stuff. But I'm currently working on building a program for people who are interested in veganism to transition into veganism and just kind of have everything they need to make sure that they're healthy and that, they're doing it the right way in a sustainable way. And yeah.
Awesome. So, you are vegan then?
Yes.
Awesome. That's great. So, what is your history with sports and fitness?
So, kind of embarrassing, but I was I was an active kid. Like, I ran around a lot, but I never really got into sports, and especially into high school. I didn't do a lot of, our family wasn't super active. So, I never got into really sports or, working out or running or anything like that. I just was kind of a lazy teenager, and with my teenager metabolism, I was able to get away with it at the time.
Yes. I know all about
but,
that.
But the freshman 15 turned into a freshman 30, and so ever since then, I've kind of been working on just trying to be more active and more fit, I guess, more in shape.
So then it was around college then when you decided to take a structured approach to fitness, and is that when you decided to try going vegan as well, or? Sorry.
No, I just started regularly working out summer of 2019. I've been vegan for a couple years, and that was really just for ethical reasons. So on top of that, I was also, not eating super healthy too. I indulged a lot in the pasta and the mock meats and all the carbs without really pairing that with a workout or any really balanced knowledge of nutrition. So I would say I've been vegan for a while, but I didn't start eating well or nutritionally until about summer of 2019 as well.
So the exercise and the diet kind of happened around the same time.
Yeah.
And was there a specific event that made you decide oh, I need to get things together, or was it just kind of a process?
I mean, I knew I had been gaining a little bit of weight, which I was mostly underweight growing up, and I was kind of insecure about that. So at first it was great, and I felt more womanly and whatever, but I think it was actually, we took a trip to Greece spring of 2019, and it was looking at all of our pictures and just ooh,
yeah,
stung a little bit. I was like, I don't remember my arms being that big. Where did those come from?
Oh man.
So, yeah.
Yeah, those pictures can be, they're rude sometimes. So what have you discovered just about yourself in undertaking this new lifestyle of health?
A lot of things. I've learned that I am capable of so much more than I thought I was. I've always been super wimpy. I was that kid in PE that couldn't do anything. And I feel since starting to work out and focus on what my body is capable of doing, it's just been really empowering. I feel strong and I feel healthy. And even though my body doesn't look exactly the way I want it to look, I'm really grateful for the physical strength that I found in it, and being able to run for an extended period of time. but I've also learned some like negative things as well. Like I never really struggled with like body issues growing up or like eating issues. And like I feel like when you start to get into that headspace of like, oh, I'm really not happy with how I look, I'm ready to start working out and like, focusing on my diet. Like it's been kind of difficult finding that balance between like setting unhealthy goals, and like maybe participating in an unhealthy behavior to get there, and like focusing on like honoring how awesome our bodies are and like, looking at food as fuel as opposed to like the enemy,
Yes.
So definitely a double-edged sword for sure.
Yeah, it dredges up a lot, and it's just something you have to learn as you go. But those are very valid and common, I guess, concerns, and it's awesome that you're working through that and learning as you go. Have you had any major like perspective shifts?
Yeah, I would say like, again, I feel like our society like really demonizes food. And so like, and even before, even though I didn't have, a lot of like eating issues before or anything like that, I still feel like focusing on what I ate was like sort of still triggering in a way, like, and just like, I don't know, just I think as soon as I started to think about like what all of the foods that I was eating were doing for my body, like focusing on like, oh, like the spinach is giving me like the iron that I need, and like, thinking of it in that way has really like changed my perspective a lot, and just like viewing food as something that we really need, and like it's good for us and it's not the enemy. And I would say that's, and then of course, like instead of focusing on like the aesthetic goals of working out, just focusing on like how, just like celebrating how awesome our bodies are, and like just being grateful for being able to like actually do the things that I want.
Yeah, for sure. So when you, sorry, we've
That's
all had colds going around here. Oh boy. So you've mentioned a couple of times like you're learning to appreciate your body more for what it's doing. So did your goals kind of start out aesthetic and then progress to more of this confident approach?
Yeah, definitely. They definitely started with aesthetic, this like kind of negative mindset of like, oh, like, I hate my body, I hate how I look, like I need to do something about this. And honestly, I just think it's through like watching other people that are trying to do it in a healthy way, and in like making sure that their mind is in the right space. Like I feel like that was a big help to me, and like kind of shifting my thinking. And especially like the intuitive eating movement is becoming more popular, of like, oh, being okay with like your body's natural set point, and like you don't have to, what we see on Instagram isn't totally real. Like these people aren't like doing natural things to have like 0% body fat,
Exactly. That's not a sustainable look. Sorry, I'm going to pause for just a second here. We will resume. All right. So what would you say is the biggest challenge you've faced so far? Like the biggest roadblock you've had to overcome?
I mean, motivation is like always a big one. I think it's like, especially if you're in the negative mindset, I feel like it's easy to feel discouraged. Like if you like slip into that like self-hatred, like it's really easy to just feel discouraged about where you're at, and like slip into a depression nap for a week or whatever.
Yes.
Instead of like putting forth the effort to get yourself there. So yeah, definitely like motivation. eating is still like I'm still trying to find the balance between like meal prepping super healthy and like still allowing myself to like eat what I feel like as well.
Yes. So navigating, yeah, the low motivation, some of the things that trigger you with food and your relationship with it. How do you work through that and try to make it better?
It's something I'm still learning. I definitely haven't perfected it. I've let myself like slip into that and like dwell in it, you know. I still do it, but I would say like like one of the most effective things I've done is just like practicing self-love, like any kind of like just taking care of myself. I feel even like just simple things like facials or like, you know, and viewing it that way, viewing it as like a form of self-love, to like exercise your body and, you know, eat well and give it the foods that it needs. Like I feel like that's always been the best thing to motivate me, is viewing it as something, as just a way of taking care of myself,
Yeah.
as opposed to like this chore, you know.
Yeah, I think that's huge. Coming at things from a place of love and growth, and not, you know, trying to kill it, or, you know,
Yeah. Bully yourself into
yeah, when you're kind of stuck in that self hate and the negativity, it brings you down, you know. So when you're not feeling motivated, you're like, what's the point? Whereas if you love yourself, it's much easier to say, my body needs this, I want to do this, you know. Yeah, but it is a process. It's just, you know, click one day and you're like, oh, I don't struggle anymore. So
honest.
yeah, I mean, bad news for you, I guess, but you grow through it.
Okay, part of the journey.
Exactly, it helps you learn. So far, I guess, how does your world look different, or how are you hoping it'll ultimately look different to you as you progress in fitness?
Mm-hmm. That's a great question. So I feel like because it is a form of self-care, I feel like ultimately the results I want are to feel better about myself and feel like I'm taking care of myself, and like be happy with myself that I'm doing that for me. And then of course like the aesthetic things, like I want to like you know, I want to like feel confident like posting pictures of myself and like things like that. I don't want to like, I mean, and I don't know if anyone ever overcomes that, even when you like get to your goal body or whatever, but yeah, I guess that's what I hope for. And also, you know, looking towards the future as well, like I really want to instill those healthy habits in my kids too, like because that wasn't, you know, my mom was like pretty active. We would go hiking every once in a while and things like that, but never as a family did we like do any real exercise. It was always bonding through like dinner or like movies or snacks or whatever. So moving forward, that is something I want to like help my kids with, and help them like create those healthy habits from the beginning, and just have that understanding that this is just good for them, and it doesn't have to be about what they look like or anything like that. So
That's great. And how do you think that will change? Like if you get that goal body, you know, because it's not bad to want to look good, you know, and as you do push through and nourish your body with exercise and good foods, how do you think that's going to affect non-exercise related aspects of your life? Or do you?
Yeah, I feel like already like I have more energy. I feel a lot better. You know, I feel like the energy thing is a big thing, because I've always kind of just always like, as a kid, I was like a really sleepy teenager. Like I've just never had a lot of like energy or motivation. And I've already felt like I'm like hyped, you know. I'm like, okay, I'm awake for my day. And so that's definitely like a big one for sure. And just feeling capable of doing things. Like I went to Bali a couple years ago, and I went with like my like bodybuilder cousin, and literally everything in Bali, to get to everything there, like you have to go on this crazy hike, and like I was not prepared at all. Like they were like at the top waiting for me for like 30 to 45 minutes every single place we went to. And so that's one of my big passions in life is traveling. Like I don't ever want to feel like I don't have enough energy as like someone in their 20s, like to be able to go. Like that just feels so asinine to me. So that's a big thing too, just feeling capable to like do the things that I want to do and have the energy to do it.
Exactly. That's huge and so important. So what piece of advice would you give to someone, put yourself where you were a year ago, or did you say it was spring or summer when you kind of started?
It was the summer.
Summer. So, what would you tell to someone in your position last summer? What piece of advice would you give them?
I would say it's really hard. And I haven't gotten to the place where it gets easier necessarily, like physically, like it's always hard physically for me. But that it's worth it, and that it's just a form of self-care. Like it is such an incredible way to take care of yourself. Even though it feels like hard work, it is hard work, but it's worth it. Like, you can't achieve anything great without putting hard work into it. So that's what I would
embrace the struggle that is going to come.
Yes.
All right. Awesome. Well, thank you for sharing with us, Ryland. And if anyone wanted to connect or reach out or pick your brain about your journey, what would be the best way to do that?
Yeah, absolutely. You can DM me on Instagram. My handle is Ryland Sage. Sage is spelled Saige, kind of a weird Utah name. So yeah, feel free to follow me. If you're interested in veganism at all, feel free to follow me. I'm always open to answering any questions about anything really. So whatever I can help with.
Great. Well, thank you so much for talking to us and sharing and being open and vulnerable. I know it's, it might not seem like much, but I think people draw a lot of inspiration from the people that are easy to relate to, and
well, thank you for having me. It was nice to meet you and your little one. I hope she starts to feel better soon.
Me too. That would be great. Well, good luck with everything moving forward, and you've got this, you've got the right perspective, and it will bless your life.
Thank you. You have a good day.